Hi, this is the 19th part of this series. In this part, I will talk about filters, but before that, I want to talk about some tips related to layers inside Photoshop. So let's start. Let's say we have this image and this is the image on this layer 0 and I want to decrease the size of this image. So let's say I'll go to image size, and I want to decrease it to, let's say, 100. Alright. Now later on I wanna increase it back to 640. Alright, its width is the 640. I don't know what its height, I didn't see it. So let's change it back to 640. Alright, so you can see that the image is blurred. The Photoshop didn't remember the previous pixel's position, but it extracted the small pixels after decreasing its size, and extract those pixels to bring that image as I increase the size of image again. Alright, but I want this image to retain its accuracy, retain the position of actual pixels that were previously added. Alright, so let's control Z and control Alt Z again. So I wanna bring this image again as I decrease the size of this image. Right now you can see that this is the rectangle, and in this rectangle we can see the small image. If I right click on the name of this layer, and there is an option called convert to smart object, what it will do is it will remember the pixels of this image that is being shown right now. Alright, now let's change the image size. I have changed the image size 100. Alright, and let's change it back to 640. So guys, you can see that Photoshop remembered because I converted this layer into smart object. So the name says that this layer will be so smart to remember its pixel position of this image. So this was the tip. It is very useful if you're working on large project. Alright, so it is not recommended that you always convert every layer into smart object. Alright, there are some scenarios that you need to work on some filters, you need to work on canvas size, image size, rotation, the transformation of the image, and then this small object smart object can be very useful. Alright, it is not that much useful if you're working on these adjustment tools. So that I wanna bring it back to the normal layer state. Alright, so now let's talk about filters. Filters are used to apply different effects, but not the color effect but also the blur effect. You can see that the distort effect, noise effect, different kinds of noises we can add, and different kinds of pixels. As I mentioned that we need to convert this image into smart object. Alright, before converting this image into smart object, let's apply a filter on this image, and we will find out that what are the disadvantages of not converting this image into smart object. Alright, so I'll leave it as it is. Okay, so let's select this image and I'll go to filter, and let's blur this image. I'll choose this Gaussian blur. This is the most famous blur and recommended by most Photoshop users. Okay, I'll click on this. I'll increase its value. Alright, its radius is 2. Okay, so I'll click OK. Alright, and after that I wanna increase its brightness. Okay, and I wanna increase its contrast as well. Okay, now let's say I have applied the contrast, hue, saturation, and first I applied some blur filter on it. Alright, now what if I want to decrease the value of blur? I want to decrease or increase the radius of blur. I can't do it because it has been applied and the pixels of image have been changed. Alright, if I go again and apply the blur effect again, it will be applied on the current image. It will be the blur, Gaussian blur effect will be applied 2 times. Alright, so how we can keep the state of any filter that we want to change later on. Alright, if I have applied so many things and I want to change this blurred effect, do I need to press Ctrl Z to step back to the first state in order to change that effect? No. Or I always want to customize things that can be customized later on. If I apply different effects, if I apply 10 effects and I want to change the second effect, and I don't want to go back press Ctrl Z 8 times to change the second effect. Alright, so again I need to convert this image into smart object. Alright, I'll Ctrl Z, Ctrl Alt C to go back one more time. Okay, so this is the actual image. Now I want to convert it to smart object. Now let's go to filter. I'll go to blur and apply Gaussian blur. I will keep it to 2 and I'll click OK. You can see that it has created this mask and the Gaussian blur array. I can just activate and deactivate this Gaussian blur. So what is the purpose of this mask? Alright, if I want to apply this blur on any part of this image, I can do it. If I go to brush, I click on this rectangular icon, okay, and then you can see that let's change the color to black, and if I just draw black color on the tree, you can see that tree is no more blurred because there is a black color on it. I have changed the flow and the opacity so that it applies so slowly. Alright, so you can see that if I didn't converted this image into smart object, this mask wasn't available. Alright, as I converted this image into smart object, the mask has been added, and if I want to change the value, the radius of that effect, I can do it by clicking on this Gaussian blur. I'll double click on it and you can see that this window has been opened again, and I will change it to 4. So you can see that I can customize this image anytime I want later on. If I have applied so many effects on this image and I just want to go back and change the blurred effect, I can do it like this. So this can be very useful. Make sure if you want to work with filters on this image, please convert that image into smart object. Alright, so let's check out some 2-3 more filters, but in this video, from the next video, I'll talk further about different filters available right now. Filter gallery, rendering, sharpening, styles. So let's press Ctrl C so many times, Ctrl Alt Z, I guess. Okay, so this is the actual image. Alright, now let's convert it to smart object, and I will go right here and I will go to, what was that? It was, I wanted to tell you about lens flare effect. Alright, you might be seeing that if you capture an image, the sun image, there are some dots of reflection inside your camera lens. Alright, so you can see that right now this image is so small inside this window, you might not be seen. Right now we have this sun right now in this image. I choose this image because I wanted to show you this lens flare effect. This is the sun and the light is coming towards us, and we want to start the lens flare from this point. Okay, so I will bring it back to right here, and I can also change the value of its brightness. Okay, I can change its length as well, but I want to keep it to the first point. Okay, so let's this. Okay, now I'll click OK. So you can see that there are some circles around this. This is because that you might capture an image and the light of sun reflects the lens of your camera and the image comes like this. Okay, I have applied this image. You can see that there is a mask. If I want to remove something from the lens flare effect, I can also do it. So let's click on this and change the color to black, and I want to decrease the lens flare effect from here, and I want to remove some effect from here as well, the outer circle. So you can see that how well we can work with this filter, alright, including the smart object on this image, alright. So guys, this was all for this part. This was the introduction of the filters, and I also told you some important and one of the best tip of layers that I know and I like too much. I work with the smart objects a lot if I work on large projects in Photoshop. So subscribe this channel. If you have any question, just comment below. See